If you'd please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here this evening. Jody, could you call the roll, please?
Dennis.
Here.
Harold.
Here.
Hollenbaugh.
Here.
Odoricio.
Here.
Phipps.
Here.
Robinette.
Here.
Sherry.
Here.
Okay, the minutes from our meeting on July 15th were distributed for your perusal prior to this evening. Are there any additions or corrections to those? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, tonight we have special recognition involving 3 new firefighters.
Good evening. Glad you're all made it here tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for attending this tonight's ceremony and introduce to you the 3 individuals that have worked tirelessly to get to this point in their careers. I want to recognise Ali, Ryan and Ethan for passing your 1-year probationary period. Congratulations to you all. So congratulations. This last year has been one of extreme effort, hard work and sacrifices, and not to mention the long hours of studying, training to pass your probationary period. Your commitment to your fellow firefighters has cemented a true sense of ownership in everything that you do. Your belief in a team success being far more important than an individual success shows every single day when you walk through the front doors of your assigned station. And as a team, we all have a common goal, and that is to serve the citizens and make a positive impact in our community on a daily basis. The 3 of you have shown that you have what it takes to succeed in this very challenging profession. And although you have passed your probationary period, your journey has just begun. So my challenge to you is very simple. Remember the excitement that you are feeling in passing your probation. Carry that feeling throughout your career and it will guide you well. Never stop caring, never stop learning, and never forget that you got to this point not only because of your hard work, commitment and determination, but because you were a part of an amazing team. And that amazing team is standing back there tonight. And you were a part to help build that team. So Ali, Ryan and Ethan, I want to be the first to say welcome to the Bowling Green Fire Division family. Once again, congratulations. So the first person I'm going to call up is Alison McCoy. Can you please bring your family? Come over here. Just the ones you want up here. The special ones. Face them there. That's good, thank you.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to repeat or raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Allison McCoy,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to do my duty
to do my duty
as firefighter for the City of Bowling Green
as firefighter for the City of Bowling Green
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the City of Bowling Green.
of the City of Bowling Green.
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
life, health, and property
life, health, and property
against fire and other perils,
against fire and other perils,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the position to which I am appointed.
of the position of which I am appointed.
Allison, congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Come over and pin it, please. This is one of the parts that I really enjoy as a fire chief is at the end of their probation and seeing significant others up here with them, joining in on the this wonderful moment.
Well done.
The next person I'd like to call up here, please, is Ryan Steen. Ryan, would you like to bring your family, please?
Hi, Ryan. Hey, how are you? Good, good. Hi, how are you? Give it a step over this way a little bit. Raise your right hand and repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, Ryan Steen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to do my duty
to do my duty
as firefighter for the city of Bowling Green
as firefighter for the city of Bowling Green
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
The Constitution of the state of Ohio
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws
of the city of Bowling Green.
of the city of Bowling Green.
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
life, health, and property
life, health, and property
against fire and other perils,
against fire and other perils,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the position to which I am appointed.
of the position to which I am appointed.
Ryan, congratulations. Thank you for your service. There you are.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ethan, would you like to come up here, please, and bring your family?
Hi. How are you? Good. Good. Are you ready? Yes, sir. Okay, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ethan Beck,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to do my duty as firefighter
to do my duty as firefighter
for the city of Bowling Green
for the city of Bowling Green
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the state of Ohio
and the laws and ordinances
and the laws and ordinances
of the city of Bowling Green.
of the city of Bowling Green.
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
I will protect, safeguard, and preserve
life, health, and property
life, health, and property
against fire and other perils,
against fire and other perils,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the position to which I am appointed.
to the
Very good. Congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Congratulations going forward.
Thank you. Careful out there.
At this point, if I can have all the families and the three individuals pass their probation, exit to the hallway, please.
We do not.
Do we have anyone signed up for lobby visitation?
Yes, we do. Caitlin Elliott.
Caitlin Elliott, 219 Crim Street. I am here in response to an article in the BG Independent News about a call to action on affordable housing and the 2014 Land Use Plan. BG Song and the Land Use Plan call for dismantling walkable affordable housing that has existed for more than 50 years. They claim to do it under the guise of increasing affordable housing. Their plan will increase the cost of housing in Bowling Green, Turning a building with 3+ housing units into one housing unit decreases the supply of housing, which will raise prices. We know we need to increase the supply of housing. The proposed plan is to turn apartmentalized housing into single-family homes to increase affordable housing for families. But many families are already living in those apartmentalized homes. They are paying rents in the $600 to $1,000 per month range, which is already unaffordable for some. Turning their homes into one home with a likely housing payment of over $1,500 per month is not increasing affordable housing. One thing it would do is increase the supply of a specific type of home that they have in mind for a specific type of person to the detriment of many others. Comments made during the zoning code update made it clear many people do not want renters in their neighborhoods. This plan proposes kicking renters out of their homes in order to replace them with wealthier, higher-income homeowners. The land use plan itself calls for removing BGSU undergraduate students and replacing them with BGSU employees and grad students. When people come to the city and say they don't want certain people living in their neighborhoods, the city should tell them that kind of talk is not acceptable, not in our town. Renters make up the majority of BG residents. They deserve a city council and administration that advocates for their needs and right to live anywhere, next to anyone. One thing cities all across the nation are doing to create more affordable housing is increasing supply. Part of that includes changing zoning to allow for more infill housing, more density, allowing duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and more in more residential zones. BG Song fought that in their neighborhoods because they do not believe it fits with the kind of people they want to live in their neighborhoods. Individuals can buy properties and do what they want with it, but Bowling Green has non-discrimination laws related to housing that include age, marital status, and family status. I do not support the city being involved in reducing affordable housing, turning renters out of their homes, and further segregating our city by income level. BG is lucky to have the kinds of housing other cities are scrambling to create. We should be legalizing it, not joining in an effort to destroy it. The city should change the language of the land use plan and refuse to support any project that declares some people better than others and reduces the supply of housing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Alex DePucio.
Hi, my name is Alex DiPuccio. I live off of Pole Road between the high school and the fairgrounds on Revere Drive. I'm here to advocate for an animal control officer. We have a big problem in Bowling Green and especially in my neighborhood. We have possums, raccoons, woodchucks, and we have nobody to help remove them. Now, I called. My wife and I were sitting on the patio one evening, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and my wife goes, "Look, it's a skunk." Sure enough, a skunk was walking by. I thought, oh no, we don't need this. So I called an animal control company, asked them what it would cost to have somebody come and catch the skunk. I think the price was $267. So I said, well, you know, I have a live trap. What if I catch it myself and have somebody come and get it? Yeah, we can do that. I said, what would that cost me? Oh, around $90. I said, okay, that's fine. So I set the trap that night. Next morning, I had a skunk in it. He came out, picked it up. I got charged with tax. I got charged $96 and some cents. So I thought, I wonder how many more there are. So I set the trap again, and within a week, I caught 4 skunks. They cut me a deal because they weren't going to charge me $90-some each time, but they charged me $75 each time. So I wound up paying so far, when I stopped catching them, $325. Now, when we had that rain that one night, the thunderstorms came through and stuff, my wife said, oh, don't set the trap again. I said, I got to do it one more time, which I did. And before I went to bed, I checked, and there was nothing in the trap. Next morning, when I got up, my wife said, hey, there's a possum in the trap. So that's 5 animals, like in a week to 10 days. So we really do have a problem. And the guy that came out said, oh, yeah, your neighborhood has a big problem. And he said, after I leave your place, I'm going over to, I don't know, he said either Ford or Village and pick up a woodchuck. He said, I did catch a skunk, you know, in your neighborhood not long ago. And when I went to the recycling center yesterday or the day before, I'm driving down Poe past Country Club and Darlin Drive. I had my window down, and oh boy, could you smell skunk. So, I mean, it's a big problem. And we used to have an animal control officer, and it never seemed like it was a problem back then, but now we have no one. My house, across from my house is a cul-de-sac with families with little kids love to move there because it's safer for the kids. You know, who knows what's going to happen with animals carrying rabies and ticks with Lyme disease. So basically, what I'm asking for is some relief in that area. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Nancy Edson.
I'm Nancy Eitzen, and I live next door to Al. And a few years back, when we did have an animal warden, I came home from work, and there was a cat that had rabies. It was foaming at the mouth. So I called animal control, and they weren't in. No sooner, maybe 20 minutes later, a police officer pulled into my driveway and said, "I see you called." And I said, "I did." So he went in my backyard and he goes, "Oh my gosh, it's foaming." I go, "I know." So I trapped it in my backyard, and he said he would take care of it. The very next day, it was taken care of. Traps were put in my yard. They caught the cat. It had rabies. They caught a raccoon. It had rabies, and a possum and a little bunny. And the possum and bunny, they let go, but the two animals they had to kill. And it was just easy for me. If I had a rabid cat in my yard and I had no money, I would open the gate and say, "Go to the next door neighbor's house. Let them pay for it." If we have someone that can help us out, he spent a whole lot of money, and as soon as he told me he caught 4 of them and a possum, and I go, "Well, you didn't do so well because this morning I smelled it again." And it's just frustrating because I think that if you could get an animal warden, and if they aren't busy all the time, which I'm sure they would be, they could work for the parks, and, you know, when a situation came up, they could handle it. But we're having a hard time, and it's not fair to him to have to shell out the money or me to have to smell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Dennis.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Dennis, 402 Buttonwood. And I'm here this evening in my capacity as the Community Development Chair for Bowling Green Save Our Neighborhoods Group, BG Song. And I'm here this evening to get the correct word out about BG Song's latest endeavor, our call to action. We are aware that many members of the city's administrative staff, the City Council, and Mayor Osbacher are familiar with our project. So I'm here this evening to focus a bit of attention on our plans for those who have not yet heard about this exciting opportunity. Like so many cities across our country, BG is facing a severe housing shortage. BG Song believes it is possible to address these challenges with unique and creative approaches to housing and improved neighborhood infrastructure. Efforts to increase the availability of financially accessible housing in the city will also yield increased opportunities for investment, public-private partnerships, and entrepreneurial engagement. BG Song recognizes several reasons why this is the good time to focus on building actionable plans for housing. Recent changes in the city are creating great opportunities for housing and revitalization. The 2023 adoption of the updated zoning code provides a new type of zone, mixed-use neighborhood zones, where housing and businesses may exist side by side. Also, a new apartment complex off South Main Street will open soon with 96 units of affordable housing, potentially making older rental homes available for purchase and renovation. Currently underway is the capital improvement plan along South Main Street. These plans include a shared use path for bicyclists and improvements enhancing pedestrian safety. The trend is for revitalization. If we act now, we can bring a concerted focus of creative, shrewd investment and short and long-term planning to bear on the well-developed and informative recommendations of the city's 2018 Community Action Plan and the 2014 Land Use Plan. BG Song realized we could help facilitate this process. So in partnership with the City of Bowling Green, we are working together a diverse group of stakeholders to address the housing shortages that are at the root of our community's need. This is our call to action meeting, which will take place on October 12th. We are asking for the participation of anyone who is interested in improving housing and community infrastructure to please join us. All interests are welcome to work together to develop actionable strategies. We seek input from city administrators, elected and appointed officials, realtors, rental property owners, retailers, commercial and residential lenders, building and remodeling contractors, healthcare and social service providers, homeowners, prospective homeowners, and renters. Those interested in public transportation and other alternatives to the automobile are also welcome. There is room for everyone in the development of new directions on housing and community development in Bowling Green. It is our hope that this forum will define the future of our community. A planning meeting will be held on Wednesday, August 14th from 6 to 8 at the Wood County Center on Aging, 140 South Grove Street, to meet and develop the agenda of the October 12th meeting. The call to action meeting will be held on Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Community Center at 1245 West Newton Road. Registration and a short social gathering will start us off with the meeting starting at 9:15. We will provide childcare and lunch for attendees. Please contact us at bowlinggreensong@gmail.com to let us know you're interested in participating. Housing is a pressing issue affecting Bowling Green's future. Let's address it together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Gary Border.
I'm Gary Border, 749 Champaign Avenue here in Bowling Green. And I'd like to make a few comments about climate change, which seems to be a popular topic right now. And I would just caution everybody here to do their research and be able to justify your actions. Give you a couple examples. First of all, there was a physicist who unfortunately is no longer with us by the name of Freeman Dyson. He would have been the fourth person to get a Nobel Prize in 1965, except the Nobel Committee only allows for 3. Nevertheless, outstanding physicist. He was interviewed by Yale Magazine back in 2009 about climate change. And basically, what he said is that he isn't buying into it. This is a guy who's an expert at simulation. And he tells you that simulation can give you insight, but simulation cannot predict the future. So if you go to Wikipedia, go to Yale, you can read the entire interview. This guy was a genius. Second reference I would have for you is another physicist, Richard Garwin. Richard Garwin's biography, published in 2017, is titled True Genius, The Life and Works of the Greatest Scientist You've Never Heard of. Garwin was asked about climate change, and his answer was if, and this is the mathematical if, IFF, if and only if carbon is the problem. The answer is simple. Switch to nuclear power. Okay, but I'm not convinced, and he's not convinced, that carbon is the problem. So there's another side to this, and some of the most prestigious people, for example, Garwin is the guy, this was not known publicly until about 2020, was the guy who invented the hydrogen bomb. After their first test, he went back and helped design some bombs that were more droppable. Then he turned in his resignation and spent a career as a scientist and consultant at IBM Thomas J. Watson Laboratories. He's the guy who shot down the American SST, figuratively speaking, of course. He was given a pile of money and asked to take a look at it back in the 60s when the Concorde and the Tu-144 were on the way. So he got the Air Force to fly from the West Coast to the East Coast, a supersonic bomber, and at the same time from the East Coast to the West Coast, a supersonic bomber. The one going east to west broke 800 windows in residences and office buildings in one trip. The one going the other direction broke 740. And he said, hey, here in the States, that's what we want to do. We want to go coast to coast, not practical. And that's what stopped the development. But the development didn't stop there. NASA's pretty sharp. And they had this on their radar. When the Soviet Union fell, there was chaos in Eastern Europe. There was no money unless you could get like American dollars. So legend has it that 3 NASA engineers loaded up steamer trunks like this with $100 bills and bought tickets to Moscow. When they got to Moscow, they went to Tupolev Design Bureau and said, hey, you got any of those Tu-144s left? And they said, oh, yeah, we got some back in the hangar. One of them only has 80 flying hours. They said, you want to sell one? They said, oh, no. The government wouldn't let us sell one. So they said, how about we rent one? They rented one for 4 years, redid the electronics, redid the engines, and got super performance plus clues in how to make a supersonic plane that doesn't have a sonic boom. 2 months ago, NASA rolled out the X-59. This is like the X-1, X-15, X-series planes, and that is the manned test bed for a supersonic transport that does not have a sonic boom. So Garwin has quite a stretch there from the 60s to just recently. What he did is a big deal. Getting back to the topic at hand, there's an engineer who's not popularly known except in engineering circles. Claude Shannon is known as the man who invented the information age. That's a huge statement, but with him, it's probably an understatement. And he cautions us that we know the past, but we do not control it. You can't go back and change the past. We control the future, but we cannot know it. And what he's saying is, you think you can get the result you want. You don't know. So be awfully careful about that. Having trouble reading my own writing.
It's a fascinating history lesson, but could you bookend it for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
The bottom line is simulations are a lot of fun. And they're very important in design. But if you try to project those into the future, getting back to one of those statements, you can't predict the future. You can learn things from it. And a great mathematician by the name of Richard Hamming said, computation is for insight, not for numbers. So when people tell you that this is going to happen and that's going to happen, but there are useful things for computation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's everyone.
Okay. That brings us to the introduction of new legislation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Robinette.
from the Finance Committee, I've got one resolution and one ordinance. First, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. And an ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024 and ending December 31, 2024.
All right, brings us to official reports. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Council. In response to the comments this evening in regards to wildlife and also in response to questions that we have recently received from council members, I did want to address that topic of citizens dealing with wildlife. Clearly, the recently passed ordinance has resulted in all of us getting quite a few questions and concerns from citizens asking us how they are expected to respond to these challenges. The first thing I would point out is that just a reminder that as part of the development of the ordinance that council recently passed, we developed a very extensive website that is accessible on the city's website. Great deal of information about wildlife, how to deal with it. Also talking about the effects of feeding wildlife, which of course was the focus of the ordinance that was passed. Also on that website is a link for a listing of licensed commercial wild animal operators that would be available to assist residents. So I would refer residents to that list for contractors that are able to help. As you know, and has been alluded to this evening, that for some time, the city did employ an animal control officer. When this officer had retired, it was decided that we would go through an assessment to try to understand, what the role and responsibility of that position was. When the city did employ an animal control officer, the primary focus of the position was domestic animals, cats and dogs. And there was some limited services for helping with wildlife. When the evaluation took place, it was learned that the county dog warden has responsibilities for at-large dogs, licensing and welfare of wild dogs in the city. So that's a resource available to residents. Also, the city provides funding to the Wood County Humane Society for cats that are captured in Bowling Green and brought to the shelter. And then it was also determined that it was likely more effective for residents to utilize the service of professionals that were licensed to deal with wild animals as opposed to the city hiring and training another person to provide that service. Really, the conclusion at that time was, if we were to do this, we would be creating if we were to hire another animal control officer and continue to provide the services, we would be creating a redundancy of services to some degree from services that were provided by other entities in the city. So based on that, the decision was made to not replace that officer. Now, looking forward, it's become clear that managing wildlife in our neighborhoods is really complicated. I think it's also a little bit complicated, or would be a little bit complicated, if we were to begin having a conversation about truly what is local government's role in this process of managing. I think that you could probably make a convincing argument either for or against local government being involved, and if so, at what cost. So moving forward, the city, we continue to work with these community partners, the county and the Humane Society. We do have conversations with these private vendors and make sure that they are operating properly within the city. My suggestion would be understanding that if the city were to once again hire a animal control officer, we would really need to stand up that entire service. We would not hire and train the person, we would need to buy equipment, vehicles, and all that sort of thing, and it's an expensive proposition. So to me, it's appropriate that if this is something that the council would like for us to pursue, that could be, or it would be reasonable that could be part of your strategic planning a process that you're going to soon undertake. And if council identifies this as one of your strategic goals, at that point, the city would then spend the time and effort necessary to really come up with a detailed proposal after having first spent some time to frame and better understand what the problem is, so we could report back on that. But then also we would work to identify how we could potentially stand up a program such as that if it were to be a consolidated goal for council. So that's what I have to report this evening. Appreciate the concerns that were shared by the citizens this evening and also the questions from council. That completes my report, subject to any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for the mayor? Okay, thank you. Municipal Administrator, Ms. Treader.
Good evening. Quick reminder that the Director of Administrative Services, Martha Wolke, had sent you a notice at the end of July that all members of council are required to watch a new state-mandated training about reporting fraud, waste, and abuse of public dollars. And the link to that training is in your inbox. That is required that you please complete that by the end of August. We appreciate your time in getting that done and in compliance. And then for the rest of my report, I'm actually going to refer to our planning director, Heather Saylor. Asked her to join us this evening to give us an update about the planning department and where we are with some of the ongoing programs and development here in Bowling Green. So Heather.
Thank you. Good to see you all. I'm not usually a familiar face here anymore, so I'm happy to share whatever information that you would like to hear from. But Lori and I developed a similar report that I give to Planning Commission monthly, so I thought that would be a good start. And she is handing out this 2 pages of information. So what I do normally at Planning Commission is just give a snapshot of permits so far this year issued. So I started with January 1 of this year to current. So I would say we're very similar at this time last year to this year. So we've issued 252 permits so far compared to 232, again, this time last year. We've had 20 single-family housing starts compared to 21 at this time last year. We have not had any multiple unit, permits applied for. At this time last year, we had the Summer Grove Apartments that was alluded to earlier, which is about to open here in a few days. So that's exciting for our community. We also have had not any new construction for commercial, but we had 3 at this time last year. We've had 1 industrial new construction this time right now compared to 0 at this time last year. We have had several industrial additions. We're at 5 so far this year compared to 4 last year. And then we've had 3 institutional projects compared to 0 at this time last year. As far as some, give you the different types of commercial that we've had, industrial and institutional projects. So again, we've had several additions. Precision Alloy, which is at 726 Innovation Drive. They actually started their addition. They had to get a variance for landscaping, which I'll talk about a little bit later in my report. Ohio Logistics, which is also Klaus Construction, an addition at 134 Woodgate Drive, which is interesting. It was built as a speculative building, and they're already adding to it without even having a user operate that yet. So that's been a pretty massive project, nearly doubled in size with this building. DOA has done an addition or applied for addition that's approved. Ohio Logistics, another addition at 2371 Woodstream Drive. Hartung Brothers, another new building. I tell myself every year, Hartung's going to do something. And I think almost all 15 years I've been here, almost 16, they've done a project almost every year. So that's really a growing business there at 815 South Dunbridge Road. Project Apodin, new construction at 2501 Woodstream Drive. Again, you'll notice a pattern of Woodbridge Business Park having most of our growth right now. And that set of plans is still under review by staff. As far as commercial, Central Business District, we've had Harbor Freight, an alteration there, which you probably have seen the signs already went up there. They are doing quite a bit of interior remodeling. Brat House, you can probably look out the window and see that they're altering and adding to that building now. And Quick Trip, we're still under review with that project, which is at the southeast corner of East Wooster and South Dunbridge. And then the Wingstop, we're still under review of that project, which would go at 1502 East Wooster Street. part of that project is to demolish the existing building there. As far as institutional, we've had Bowling Green City Schools. They'll be moving their soccer practice fields, which is already under construction, from where they're at now to adjacent to the softball fields along there on Fairview to accommodate the new high school plans they're working on. Wood County Board of DD, they have new construction that we've approved for 2 homes there, which is within a new subdivision right off of Gypsy Lane near their existing facility. And they will be on a new road called Inspired Lane. St. Aloysius, they have applied for an alteration. They'll be moving their childcare facility or preschool facility to their church and their school and move some offices around there. So that's a pretty big project for them. As far as Planning Commission action so far this year, I've already alluded to Wood Acres subdivision being approved that the Wood County Board does own. They've approved Stone Ridge Plat 9 for additional housing, Cogan's Crossing Plat 9, those have already been platted and the lots are for sale, that's about 20 lots, and they're already moving to their next plats, so plats 10 through 14, so that subdivision's moving pretty quickly. 2 St. Springs, they also had their construction plans approved, so you'll see some dirt moving there. That would be near the community center, also Newton and Brim Road, so that will be a pretty large subdivision once that gets going and you do see the development there. We also have had annexation so far this year. We had basically a few parcels related to the big Abbott project. Those were annexed and zoned, that IE Innovation and Employment zoning. And then the city's electric substation on Bishop Road and 25 was annexed. We have not had any rezoning requests so far this year. And as far as the zoning code, what I've alluded to, we've already hit a year of looking at our zoning code and utilizing that new tool. And so you probably noticed in your packet, I did propose comprehensive edits to not the entire document, but I think a lot of it was cleanup. A lot of it is reaction to some things that aren't working. We've had a lot of driveway variances, for example, in front of the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals. And so again, it's just reaction to the site plans I'm reviewing, the feedback we're getting from the community, and that will be introduced to Planning Commission on Wednesday. So we're looking forward to once they review the edits, and they will obviously come in front of council at some point. And again, I will offer, any questions, any discussions, let me know on that. And then as far as that process, of course, it would be a public hearing in front of Planning Commission, and then, like I mentioned, back to you. As far as Zoning Board of Appeals, I've already mentioned they've been busy. I think I counted 8 driveway requests, so that is an indicator of something that might not necessarily be working in the new zoning code. And then they are having a training with an attorney on September 11th that does specialize in land use, and we will have a time once we're closer to that meeting date, since we're not sure if we'll have any cases that night. But again, we're excited about that. And again, we have a lot of new members, so we think it's a good time to have a training and invest in that. It's a really important quasi-judicial board that we want to make sure they are educated. Historic Preservation Commission, you probably noticed that they've been really, really busy. And I don't know if you've noticed the new signs or read about them, but that project was completed, the 16 historical signs, and installed on July 18th. So we're looking forward to the dedication that we hope you can attend on August 16th at 11:30 at the Wooster Green. Right now, I'm finalizing the grant report and the invoice so we can be reimbursed for that grant that we were awarded. And special thank you to not only City Council, but the Friends of the HPC that helped develop those signs. And we'll be thanking a lot more people during the dedication. So hopefully you're getting good feedback about that. Also, they celebrated in May National Preservation Month, so you might have noticed the signs that we used in yards, History Lives Here. That's also been very popular to read about the different homes and buildings in our community. And then also Historic Buildings of the Month. Those keep us really, really busy. I think we've done these for almost 2 years now, and we've had nothing but positive feedback about those. And if you're ever interested in writing one, anybody in the community, we would love to have additional partners. They take a lot of work and research and, developing what's the word? Accurate facts. It's really difficult with local history sometimes to find things that really mesh, because back then we didn't have, fact checkers, I guess is the word. And also in regards to that, we created a guide to help people research their own properties, and it's all on the website, which I've posted here. And they are in year 2 of their 3-year strategic plan. So I think they've done a lot really in a short time based on that plan. Rental registration and self-inspection program, we've had 7,172 registrations. This is something that never ends. I think I've said this, several times in front of you, that it's a target that is constantly moving because we always have transfers of property every single week, or we have changes in information that we try to keep up on. And as far as self-inspections, we've had almost 1,400 so far, and those aren't due till October 1st. So we've got about 20% submitted so far. Additionally, the challenges were, I've already mentioned, identifying rentals is always a challenge. You can't just look at a house and 100% know it's a rental. So coming up with that information is something that, again, has to be comprehensive. We have to look at the tools we have. Exemptions are problematic. It's very hard to have exemptions and really get a good count on your number of rental units and subsequently figure out your rental vacancy rate. How can you do that when you have exemptions? I've already mentioned having updated information is really difficult. A majority of people don't think if you change your email to let the city of Bowling Green know that, I've changed my email. So it's just things like that make it really hard to communicate with the different types of landlords there and the management companies. And it's not perfect. We've already talked about how this is really a learning process. We don't have a huge staff, so we're doing the best we can with 3 of us, and we will continue to work on this, but just a snapshot on that. I've also included the 2 websites that we utilize for our letters that we send to people and our emails. As far as other things we have going on, we are updating our access management policies and guidelines, which I appreciate Rachel representing council on that committee, and we're working with Manick and Smith Group to get that done. It's really early stages, but it's a really it's a big tool for the city to use with development, and we want to make sure we get that right. We also hope to have the subdivision regulations updated and started sometime this year, but again, you can tell we have a lot going on, so we want to make sure we at least get the access management done and finalized before we start on that. And then we do have an advertisement out for a senior planner, so we'll be excited to add to our staff. So I think that's it. Hopefully I didn't go too long, Lori, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions for Heather? I just have one question, and thank you. It's good to see you here. I'm looking at this 1,386 self-inspection number with under 2 months till the deadline. And I was wondering, are we going to hit this deadline or aren't we?
Well, I can't speak for the landlords. All we can do is get out the information, the communications that we can. We've sent reminders. We can only do so much. So we're trying to do our part and get the word out. And, I can't say much because it's not due till October 1st. I don't know about you all, but I know a lot of people that stand and wait in the income tax line, the day that they're due. So I'm not too concerned yet. I would love to see more, but I don't think we can really do much until the actual deadline is here.
Right. Well, I can only speak for myself, but I have no desire to extend this deadline. So that's just for me. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Any questions for Lori? Okay. Brings us to City Attorney, Mr. Brown.
Good evening. No report.
Any questions for Mr. Brown this evening? Okay. Public Infrastructure Director, Mr. O'Connell.
Just some construction updates for you. So work on South Main continues. Waterline work is getting past Napoleon intersection, and we'll continue north up to the Ordway and Lehman area. They've done a pretty good job at making progress through the south half of the project, so we hope the north half goes as well. They have hit some rock at Napoleon, and so that has slowed them down a little bit, but there's something making good progress. Pearl Street is paved, and they're expecting to get the intersection at Pearl and Church open tomorrow. There is some manhole and valve adjustments that have to be done yet by the crew, so we're nearing the finish line for that project. Street striping will come at some point in the future as well for that. And then finally in the village subdivision, curb replacements are occurring on Jefferson Street on the north side, and then eventually they'll get those put in and move to the south side. And work continues there. After that is done and the curbs are replaced, then we'll be looking at paving work to occur in the villages also. Last thing I have for you is we continue work on our water service line material inspections throughout the city. We need to get into people's homes and look at where the water line comes into the property at the meter, identify that pipe material. This is an EPA requirement. We've had extensive public outreach and communication with residents about trying to get into properties and inspect that pipe material. And we're making progress and continuing to work on that one too. So that is all I have unless you have questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. O'Connell this evening? All right, thank you very much. Council committee reports. For anyone that was not here at 6 o'clock, we had a committee of the whole meeting, the purpose of which was to receive the Climate Action and Resiliency Improvement Plan. Any other council committee reports?
Mr. President?
Mr. Harrell.
Do you have an idea of when our annual strategic planning meeting will be held? We try and have it toward the beginning of the budgeting process. And
Yes, sometime soon-ish.
Soonish, okay.
Anything else? Okay, that brings us to the reading of legislation. Jody?
Legislation for first reading. Resolution number 3866 for first reading. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Ordinance number 9216 for first reading. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024 and ending December 31, 2024.
Mr. President?
Mr. Robinette?
I move to suspend the rules and give ordinance 9216 its second and third readings.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Jody?
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Odoricio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
All right, the rules are suspended for ordinance 9216.
Ordinance number 9216 for second and third readings. Ordinance providing supplemental appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio during the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2024 and ending December 31, 2024.
Mr. President?
Mr. Robinette?
I move to adopt ordinance 9216.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Jody?
Hollenbaugh,
Yes.
Odoricio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 9216 is adopted.
There is no legislation for second reading. Legislation for third reading. Ordinance number 9211 for third reading. Ordinance amending and adopting Chapter 33 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Bowling Green, Ohio regarding employment policies.
Mr. President?
Mr. Robinette?
I move to adopt ordinance 9211.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jody?
Odoricio,
Yes.
Phipps,
Yes.
Robinette,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Hollenbaugh.
Yes, ordinance 9211 is adopted. Is there any other business to come before council this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.